So now for the last family of this little tour through the 15 most important families for you guys to learn. And it's another gymnosperm. So not a flowering plant, not an angiosperm, another family of gymnosperms. And it's called the Araucariaceae. And it's really important southern hemisphere group. And you've already experienced probably most of these species, most of the genera in this family. But I wanted to associate them together as one group. And it's a very interesting evolutionary story, and the ecology of it is also very, very, very interesting. So first of all, the story of the Araucariaceae is that it reached its maximum diversity long ago. So in the fossil record, there's lots of these things from the Jurassic. So it's another one of these groups which was very diverse at the time of the dinosaurs. And was found all across the globe, and now it's not. So now the diversity is reduced, it's fewer genera, fewer species, and their ranges are much, much reduced. So some of the species are only found on certain islands and only found in the southern hemisphere. Why that is sort of an interesting research question that lots of people are looking at, but there isn't a definite answer at this point. So it's a gymnosperm, so cones instead of flowers. And the cones are really, really large in this case. The important local species include the Wollemi pine that we already heard about from Jason Bragg. It's really important to the story of the Royal Botanic Gardens, and which is also known from the fossil record and then rediscovered in a valley in Wollemi National Park. And then also agathis. And agathis is commonly planted in the Botanic Gardens. You'll see a bunch of different examples of it throughout the bot gardens, which is a very, very big plant, big tree, and it grows very, very straight. And that meant that the largest ones were really sought after by the early Europeans that arrived in Australia, and so a lot of the biggest ones were harvested early on as masts for ships. Unlike the angiosperms, the dominant angiosperms like eucalyptus that tends to not to grow very straight, agathis tends to have this very, very straight bark, very, very straight trunk, and be very millable, so very easy to use as for different human construction projects. That said, they were never very common, and after the initial phase of logging, they were even less common, so there just weren't that many of them. They're highly, highly sought after. This group, so the Araucariaceae, is found throughout the southern hemisphere at the moment, including Chile, Argentina. It's found in Patagonia. There's some big forests of Araucariaceae there. Some species are found in Papua New Guinea, and as well in New Zealand. They make some of the largest trees that we know about are in New Zealand. There's one which is called the kauri in the local language. It's measured at more than 45 meters, and this is a picture of it up here in the top right. So they can get very large and very impressive trees. So the leaves are either small and needle-like or flat, and like agathis. So you can see here, this is a Wollemi, this is an Araucaria, and this is an agathis. So this is the kind of the range of leaf. The genera look very different. So it's worth learning these three genera in order to recognize this whole group as the Araucariaceae. There are only those three genera. So Araucaria, agathis, and Wollemia. And together they comprise the extant or living Araucariaceae, and they're a fascinating gymnosperm family from the southern hemisphere.